What's up, guys? I'm IFBB Pro Travales Blount, and I'm here with the big homie, IFBB Pro Ferlan Bailey. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you for the opportunity. Great to be here.
Well, you know, ready to get this workout in, but before we do that, I've known you since the very beginning of my career. Can you tell us a little bit about the very beginning of yours?
The very beginning of my career was inspired by a lot of people like yourself, but it goes further back to 1996. On American soil. I actually became a citizen that year, and I went to my very first bodybuilding show.
Okay, so hold on, if I may jump in.
Yep.
Now, I know you live here in Orlando and you reside here, but where's home?
Grenada, West Indies, the Isle of Spice.
Okay.
Yeah. We're the #2 exporter of spice in the world, next to Indonesia.
Okay, wow.
Tiny island, but yeah, they say the Isle of Spice where everything.
Big product. Right?
I wasn't always big. I was always defined, and we produced a lot of athletes. So, but yeah, that's where. Yeah.
You kind of began your career as a soccer player.
Soccer player, yeah, and sprinter.
Okay.
Yeah, back home, soccer, sprinting, and boxing was a huge deal. My uncle was actually an Olympic boxer. Came here in 1984.
So
yeah,
in the genes.
Yeah, and soccer was like my life growing up. Soccer and sprinting on the grass fields. I was like one of those little kids you see in the movies, like sprinting with barefooted.
Okay,
Yeah, our sprints, our inner school Olympics, so to speak, were barefooted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we all sprinted barefooted. And I was a great soccer player back then. But on my team, like I was telling you off camera, I was probably the 5th or 6th best player on the team, and probably the 5th or 6th fastest player on the team. Yet I ran a 4.4 240. I didn't know that was the time until I got to America. But yeah, so came to America. My mom moved to America when I was 5 years old to go to university in New York and to make a better life for us, and brought me to Orlando, Florida. And I was like, hey, let me continue my soccer dream. And
I guess you heard football and you're thinking soccer.
Back home, we don't say soccer, we say football. So the neighbor was like, hey, you want to try out for the football team? Of course, that's what I'm going to play. So
I'm here.
His parents, they take us to tryouts in the summer, and I have my little soccer shorts on. I got my shin guards on. I have soccer cleats that my mom bought me. And I walk out on the field, and I see all these weird equipment in bags. And then I see all these big guys, all sizes, big guys. And I'm like, okay, maybe these are coaches or something, right? So with my accent, I said to my friend, I said, Justin, what is all this? What is this? And he's like, oh man, this is football. I said, no. I said, I had my ball with me. I said, this is football. What is this nonsense, right? And he said, this is American football. I said, oh. I said, well, you know what? I'm just gonna sit here because his parents are waiting for us. I was like, I'm gonna go sit, and with my accent thick, I said, I'm gonna go sit and wait for you to finish tryouts. And he goes, nah, dude. Justin was a surfer, but he was also a wide receiver. He was like, nah, dude, you're gonna try out, man. And I'm like, nah, I don't think so. I don't know anything about this sport. The coaches were like, come, let's at least run with us. I'm like, well, okay, I'll run with them.
I can do.
I'll get some cardio in. So we did the mile as a warm-up. I dusted everyone in the mile. And he's like, we're going to run the 40. So at the time, he lined up like all what's called positions, whoever wanted to play wide receiver. Right. And he was like,
the skill positions.
Skill positions. Yeah. I had no idea what that was.
Right.
I'm just standing there like, he's like, what's your name? I'm like, Ferlan Bailey. And he's like, well, okay, Mr. Bailey, you want to run? And I ran, and I hear, woo! And he's like, oh, you're playing football. And that's how it started. I had no idea.
No more soccer for you.
Yeah, no more soccer for me. I had no idea what a first down was. I had no idea what the yard markers were. I just knew when you got the ball, I thought every time you got the ball, you had to score a touchdown.
So that was...
And you would see me banging the ground because I didn't score, but meanwhile I broke like a 30 or 40-yard run.
Right.
So yeah, I was pretty raw up until like my sophomore year. One time, pulls me aside and he's like, son, do you know what a first down is? I was like... And when people look me directly in the face, I have a really hard time lying, and I was like, this is going to get me in trouble. But, Coach, no, I don't. And he's like, oh, your game is going to change. And after that, my game changed. I had 2,000 yards my senior year in high school, and I had a bunch of accolades, gold helmet award here in Orlando, Florida. Yeah, so that's how. Never, and I fell in love with the game. After the very first game, I fell in love with American football.
Okay, now, so when did the bodybuilding begin?
Bodybuilding was shortly after high school. Deke Warner, the promoter, big time Deke Warner here in Orlando. I went to a show. My buddy was like, "Hey, let's go check out this bodybuilding show," and I was in love with bodybuilding. My mom used to send me videos, video cassettes, VHS of the Incredible Hulk back to my island, and I always said, when I come to America, I'm going to play soccer and I'm going to lift weights. That was my goal. Other things, but yeah. I went to the show, and with a buddy of mine who was actually my son's godfather, Ed now, and I saw, guess who? Mr. Olympia, Dorian Yates guest posing.
Oh wow!
That
must have been.
I'm getting chills thinking about it. I was in awe. I was blown away. To this day, Dorian Yates is my favorite bodybuilder.
Okay. No, I get that, to make a personal connection.
And
like
I was like,
from then on, you kind of.
From then on, I was like, I started taking the gym seriously.
Okay.
I would go to the gym with my friends and stuff, but then I started working out from just with my high school buddies to drifting over to the power lifters. Okay. And I'd work out with, because
that for real size.
That
mass.
There really weren't any bodybuilders in my gym, but there were a few truckers who were power lifters, and I hung out with the truckers. I was that guy with the truckers and everything. And I would pick up every magazine there was.
That's how I began also. Yeah.
I would go to the.
You'd be surprised at what, keep reading and researching. I tell people all the time.
I would go to the supermarket where, I don't even know if they have anymore, called Goodings, where I live.
Okay, yeah.
And I go to Goodings.
Over on the West Coast.
But no, here in Orlando.
Really?
They had Goodings here in Orlando. And I would read every single magazine from front to back, even the ads.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. And I went to every show. I followed bodybuilding, but I never, ever thought I'd be a pro bodybuilder.
Okay, so when did that finally happen?
Well, it didn't happen until 3 shows after me competing. I just wanted to get on stage. I looked at everyone, whether you were a bantamweight or a super heavyweight. I had respect for everyone because they had the guts to step on that stage, and they had the gifts, which I never thought I possessed. I was like, oh man, I'm a skinny guy. Yeah, I have a small waist. I never knew, I have tiny ankles.
That actually works out to be, an advantage.
And
small joints.
and I just was like, man, these guys are gods. I looked at every bodybuilder. Doesn't matter if you're NPC or pro. I looked at every competitor. They're gods.
You do understand you have quite the following, so people view you.
I don't see myself like that to this day. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so my little brother did a show. I helped him with a show in 2009, right? And we're backstage, and Oliver, he's at UF at the time, and he says to me, he's like, "Big bro, if I win my class, you're gonna do a show next year." I was like, "Yeah, okay." And he was in the teen class. Well, there were no other teens in the class, and he won the show. Okay. So I was like, you know what? All right, I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
I may suck at it, but it's gonna be a bucket list thing. And I could say I stepped on stage like everyone else. And that's how it started. I was 200 and, like I said, I went from when I moved to America, I was 137 pounds. Okay. I graduated high school around 180, 185. I was really shredded. Really shredded. I did pull-ups every day of the week. And then I started training with powerlifters after I came out of college.
Probably put on some
size. I put on weight, but it wasn't good weight. Because how powerlifters eat.
Right, exactly.
So I got up to 292 pounds.
No way.
Yeah.
You're pushing 300.
I was pushing 300. I mean, I was doing weight gainer shakes, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I was eating those Friday night with one of my powerlifter friends. We would sit in this Corvette and we'd have Whoppers before going into the gym. Yeah, and
I've heard stories, about.
That's how I had a lot of mentors back then. These guys just saw something in me, and the older guys, and they would just take me under their wing and just show me the ropes. I'm like, all right. So I started at 292. Yeah, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. I got down to 212 pounds.
Okay, wow, that's a whole person.
I started my diet February of 2010, mid-February, and I stepped on stage May 29th, 2010 at 212 pounds.
I'm shredded.
Kind of shredded. I mean, for what I thought, it was shredded because I hadn't seen abs in a while.
Right.
And I won that show.
Okay.
Then I did Deke's show, who's a huge mentor of mine back then. I did his show 3 weeks later, and I won the heavyweight class in that show, and I lost in the overall. Then the next year I came back, and
Did you?
I did better.
Okay.
I still didn't do a national qualifier yet. Well, I did a national qualifier the following year. I did Tim Gardner's Hurricane Bay. I won the overall at that show.
And did you kind of have, you know, a process plotted out? Were
No,
you
I just
thinking-
at that point, I was just in love with competing.
Okay.
I was just like, man, I just want to compete.
Really?
I just want to compete.
Okay.
I had no aspirations of becoming a pro. I didn't think I belonged on that level. I didn't think I belonged on the national level. Yeah.
It's funny because I know you're truly humbled by it, but really, like these are your peers now. Like you know.
I did, trust me. Every time I see you, that's why I always say, hey, how you doing, IFBB Pro? Because it reminds myself that, damn, I'm a pro, and it feels good to you know.
The camaraderie of it.
But it was just, I did, 2011, like I said, I did the Southeastern USA. You know, this is a big national qualifier here. And in that show was, in the top 5 of that show, was now IFBB Pro Alexis Rolón.
Okay.
There was another gentleman from Puerto Rico who was, oh my God, I forgot his name. Make it long story short. Charles Williams, our local Charles Williams.
Okay.
Was in that show. Ty Pope
Oh wow.
was in that
IFBB Pro.
was in the top, IFBB Pro Ty Pope and myself. We were in the top 5.
Wow.
I got 4th in that show.
People don't understand. You're here in Florida. It's super competitive.
I got 4th in that show, and I remember walking off
I have to
stage.
tell stories like that. Also. It's okay.
I remember seeing you on stage the first time.
No. Oh.
I coined you as a pro at Jacksonville.
Oh. Thank you, sir.
And after that show, I walked off stage, and I'm like, man, this is serious. I got to take this.
Always get,
I got 4th, and I was like, this is serious business, you know. And I started like working harder and harder, and just becoming, instead of just being a gym rat, I started
really
becoming
the science of it.
That's
like
the science of it,
yeah.
exactly.
Exactly.
And I would ask questions. I would do research. I would start doing, before I even knew the term, the mind-muscle connection. I would slow my workouts down, and I'm like, okay, what am I feeling here? Stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. Quality.
I started looking like the weird guy in the corner, because at that point, I started training by myself a little bit. And the hoodie on with the headphones and stuff like that.
Okay,
and,
now,
yeah.
who helps you along with your prep? Like, who's your coach?
Okay, currently my coach, who turned me pro, who's my mentor, he's the one who actually talked me into becoming a coach. It's AJ Sims.
Okay,
and he's, Cement Boys, yeah. And he's also teamed up with his wife, Nikki Sims, Nikki's Angels, and she does a great job compared to
Great product.
Dude, like,
everybody. I mean, just
man,
ridiculously hard, shredded. Like,
they were the two who, dude, yeah, they were the two who talked me into becoming a coach.
Okay.
Because they saw something in me that, you know, I didn't see myself. You know.
Let's touch on that. Now, you've taken some of those principles and you've teamed up with another local pro and Olympian, yeah?
Yes, Natalia Coelho, IFBB Pro, Natalia, the youngest figure competitor, the youngest figure pro competitor.
And hold on, she's crossed over now. She
After some debate and it's a little tug in her mind.
Let her grow.
Yeah, because Natalia, she fell into figure.
Absolutely.
She loves figure. But if you see Natalia train,
man,
she trains like a bodybuilder.
I have a time or two. Yeah. And it's absolutely ridiculous.
So she had to pretty much back her training off because her legs were getting too striated. She was too hard on stage.
Like little drill bits, if you know what I mean. Just
it's crazy. Even when you see pictures, you're like,
no. In real life,
like,
it looks that way. No, yeah.
And so she made the transition in her head after this year, after the Olympia of 2017, to do
She's always got to win.
physique. Yeah. And she did a show in California, and she just blew everyone away. And now she's in love with it. So a month before the show, because she didn't want to tell anyone, to add extra pressure on herself, she would practice at home. She would practice at home in private, and she texted me about a month before her physique debut, and she said, I'm really starting to fall in love with this no heels thing and posing, and I don't think she's going to go back.
No,
figure.
I can't see.
Yeah, she's
a talented young lady.
She is in love with it.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
a bullet. I mean,
4.0 student at University of Central Florida, honor roll. We run the business together. Trains like an animal. So
now hold on. Let's talk about the business. You guys are currently taking clients?
Yes, we are currently taking clients.
Okay, and before we go any further, where can people find you? Right. Shameless plug.
You can find us at ifbbpros.com, ifbbpros@gmail.com. And how we came up with that name, when we decided to collaborate, you know, we met up at Panera for a business meeting. And yeah, for some carbs. And we're talking, and then with our concept, and we share the same, and Natalia's a research freak, and that's why she says she loves me, is that I'm constantly doing research, which I learned from my mentor, AJ Sims, to always keep growing and educating yourself. And we're at Panera Bread, and we've already decided, we're going to do this together, and our concepts and how we want to handle clients. And we're like, let's think of a name. So we're sitting there, and within 2 seconds, I made a joke, and I'm like, like IFBB Pros at Work, like men at work, body under construction. I'm laughing like, ha. She's like, no, really? I'm like, oh, okay. So that's how we came up with the name, IFBB Pros at Work.
Right.
Yeah. And that's how it is, man. And we truly love coaching. It's total satisfaction when you get, the best satisfaction for me is when I get a text from a client. Thank you so much. You changed my life. What separates you from other coaches is that you truly care. And I know I'm a pain in the butt, but I can text you and you'll text me back, and I'm just like, man, that that feels so awesome. So yeah.
And now you're also involved in some endeavors, kind of away from the gym or what have you.
Yeah.
Can we touch on those?
A lot of them, but the newest one is I've teamed up with some partners, and we're coming out with our own supplement line, Bloodline Sups.
Oh, look, okay.
Yeah. So that's going to be out in the next probably 90 days or less.
Okay.
So it's we're very excited about it.
Okay, want to go ahead and get you to come back then?
Absolutely.
Talk again.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'll bring you some samples.
Please do. Thank you.
We're gonna our main focus is gonna be pre-workout, which everyone loves, fat burner and pre-workout, and a clean mass gainer. And we're gonna, we put a lot of money behind it. So
Right.
yeah. Quality stuff.
I can only imagine if you're involved.
And my daughter Miyoshi is the one who came up with the name Bloodline.
Okay. Who
Yeah.
actually is here today?
Yeah,
right?
she's over there doing her stuff. 14-year-old doing her cardio. So we're driving after we had a meeting. I picked her up from volleyball practice, and we're going. And I'm like, we're gonna do this. She's like, I'm so proud of you, Daddy. And I'm like, yeah, I want an aggressive name. And she's like, Bloodline. I'm like, I start texting my partners.
This is what I've come up with.
Yeah, in 2 seconds. So that's how. Yeah, it was her. Yeah, we wanted something like something aggressive, to really state, So yeah, Miyoshi. So I guess she might sue me for some rights in the company or something. I don't know.
Just make sure you take care of it.
And I love to write. A lot of things, people don't know a lot of things about me. They think I'm like this wild dude,
That too is what I would say.
Yeah.
Both ends.
I have a crazy personality, but I'm very grounded. I was raised by 7 women. And my grandfather was also the head of the household, but back in the islands, the good old Irishman, and he was the one who taught me about pure strength. He would go out and just hustle, work. Him and his brothers owned a funeral home, but also when the cruise ships came in, he would put his shirt on and drive taxi for the tourists.
Okay, right.
So I learned that hustler's mentality and strength. I would see him tired.
See that today.
And my grandmother, I learned the humility, and my personality comes from my grandmother. I spent a lot of time with my grandmother while my mom was in America, getting an education, making a better life, and my strength comes from my grandmother. I've had a blessed, amazing life, and I'm beyond blessed to be an American citizen. I even got this tattoo when I became a citizen.
All right, so hold on. Now, real quick, can we talk about 2018?
Okay.
Have you had a chance to look at the schedule? Any idea where we may see you?
The only schedule I've looked at is my chiropractic and physical therapy schedule.
Okay.
But no, I haven't looked at the schedule. People have been in my ear because, as you know, I've downsized due to a spine injury, and I haven't been able to do.
It's such a small community. We actually share the same chiropractor. And, you always hear, people have pain, we're athletes, we deal with it. But not until I heard him talk about, your particular case that I developed, a really appreciation for kind of what you deal with.
Yeah, I started having pain in July of 2016. Spasms in my glutes, tingling down my legs. I'm like, oh, it's sciatic pain. I'll just stretch out a little bit. As the months went on, I started losing feeling in my right leg. This is serious. December of 2016, I was in the gym squatting, and I felt a sharp pain in my right glute. I'm like, okay, let me just stop. By January of 2017, I couldn't walk. A lot of people don't know that. Severe pain.
Now, it got to the point that maybe you wouldn't be able to pursue this anymore, yeah?
to pursue, it got to the point where I was sitting in the surgeon's office saying I may not be able to walk again if I do the wrong squat, the wrong motion. And I was in tears. Yep. So we decided to come up with a plan. I started a series of 3 epidurals, physical therapy, decompression, you name it, just to avoid surgery. And I remember we did that for 3 months. And I sat in his office, it was May of 2017, this year. And he said, "You're a candidate for a spine fusion. When should we schedule the surgery?" And I said, "Doc, I turned pro in 2016. I have yet to do a pro debut, step on stage. If anything in life, I would like to say I stepped on stage." And most surgeons be like, "Well, you know, Mr. Bailey." He's like, "You know what? With the current situation right now and the medication, like I said, I have a bunch of scripts I never filled because I didn't want to get hooked on anything. Right. I was eating probably half a bottle of ibuprofen a day." And he said, "Okay, let's go for it, and we'll talk about it after your show." So we did what I could. AJ, I mean, I can't say enough about AJ, what he did for me. Him and Nikki. Yeah, he and Nikki met me every Tuesday, and we did whatever we could for legs. Hundreds of leg extensions. Body weight walking lunges, you know, stuff like that. Body squats, modification body squats. Yeah, it was very hard. But what kept me going was so many people who like knew what I was going through, and just my family and AJ. And AJ would send me a text message out of the blue. He's like, "Man, I don't know how you're doing what you're doing." Hold
on. We'd be remiss. Can you shout out AJ? How can people get in touch or?
Oh, AJ Sims, Sim Solutions. AJ Sims, Sim Solutions, IG, Facebook, Nikki's Angels. They're great. My coaches, my mentors. They're the ones who turned me pro. I wouldn't have been able to do this without them and God, I'm telling you. So you can't go wrong. I'm sure they're booked up, but when he's booked up, he sends people to his student. So
trickle down.
Yeah, trickle down. Yeah. You know, that's one of the things that he said to me when he encouraged me to start the business. And I said, "Thank you for believing in me." You know, and I said, he's like, "Bro, I will help you set it up. Anything you need." And I'm like, "Thank you so much." And he's like, his words were, "Knowledge is passed down." You know, and when the difference between him, when he started coaching, he was also educating me while he was coaching me.
Right. You don't want to hold on to the knowledge.
Exactly. So I absorbed so much over the past 3 years. It was just like a sponge, you know. So it's just, I'm grateful, man. You know.
Well, where can we find you on social media?
IG, Ferlan Bailey, IFBB Pro, Facebook, Ferlan Bailey. Oh, so about this guy, when I turned pro, he sends me a text. He's like, "Hey, why don't you change your name to Ferlan Bailey, IFBB Pro?"
Literally, the first thing.
I thought about doing it the first night.
Right.
I did. And yeah, Facebook, Ferlan Bailey. Orlando, Florida. I'm all over Orlando, Florida. If you need me, every gym possible. Ironclad gym where we're at right now is a great gym. Shout out Jaime Ibone, great gym. I'm all over Orlando. Find me. I'm usually the guy wearing bright stuff and booty shorts, so you know.